Hello everyone. I hope I am audible. Just wrote in comment so that I will get an idea that I am audible to all of you. We'll start in 1 minute. Thank you Namrata for confirming. We'll wait 1 more minute. Thank you guys for joining. I welcome all of you in Next Gen Data YouTube channel. Thank you for joining. So as you know that last couple of days I was unable to take the sessions. Sorry for that. Today we will start the sessions with SQL constraints. As you know that we have covered the few constraints types. So we have covered not null constraint. So the use of the not null constraint is that whenever we define a constraint as not null, then we cannot uh, we we have to have value into that field. And we also covered the unique constraint. So unique constraint is used to identify the so unique constraint is used to identify or ensure that the each record in that particular field it should be not duplicate. It should be unique only, and it should not be duplicate. It should be unique. Default constraint we have covered. So in default constraint, the thing is that whenever we are not passing value to that particular field, then the default value whatever we have defined during table creation, that default value it will take, and whenever we pass that value will be considered. So check constraint is used to just check the conditions whether that particular logic is met or not. And we'll now we will cover the most important part of SQL Server is primary key constraint. So what is primary key? There are different constraints, and primary key is very important. Just give me 1 minute. Primary key constraint is used to identify again the record uniquely. So You may ask, what is the difference between primary key and then unique key? So there is a difference. If you take an example of a unique key where we can specify, like we can insert one null record, but in case of the primary key, we cannot, like unique primary key will not allow us to specify a single, even single record as a null record. So primary key is basically combination of unique key plus not null constraint, and I will explain you more in detail. So consider there is an user or a student, or you can consider a girl named Maisha. He want and her address is Pune, and her date of birth is 15 Jan 1998. And there is one more girl, she's also from Pune. Her name is also Maisha K, and address is Pune. Then date of birth is 15 Jan 1998. Now both are going to register somewhere, or both are traveling to abroad, and how the embassy people or the passport officer will identify. Uh, so there should be some uniqueness in these two persons. So how can they identify? So there is way, like consider these both girls are traveling to Australia from India, and so how can we uniquely identify that person, or how can that passport authority identify this person? So now India has a unique identification number at central level. So by using Aadhaar card, we can identify this person as uniquely. But again, what if a person does not have an Aadhaar card? So if person does not have Aadhaar card, so does mean that he is not eligible to get the passport, no. So she or he is also eligible to get the passport. But here you can identify this particular user based on the Aadhaar card. So the Aadhaar card, or the PAN card, or the voter ID, or driving license, these are called as candidate key. So those values are identified as a unique. They are called as uh, candidate key. So candidate key and the strong candidate key is become a primary key. So here, like as I mentioned, primary key is a combination of unique key and not null key. So here Aadhaar card is unique key, but what if I don't have? Give me 1 minute.
Hello.
Uh, Hello, Umesh. Hello, hello. I hope am I audible and my screen is also uh, visible to all of you. Again, as I mentioned, the primary key should be unique and not null, and then you can specify, like you cannot consider Aadhaar card or PAN card as a unique, because uh, just 1 minute. Hello, I hope I am audible now, all of you, and visible to you. Okay, thank you. So we'll start. We'll start again. So, like as I mentioned, the primary key is a combination of unique key and not null. So, if a person does not have Aadhaar card, then what he can do? So, does it mean that he is not eligible to get the passport or anything? No, he is eligible, right? There are so many peoples in India who does not have the passport or does not have the Aadhaar card or a PAN card. So to create a primary key, what people or what this architect of the database will do, they will create a unique key at their end only and not the KYC details or what. So, like how they will do, they will create like they will consider either any integer number and they will increment that value by one, or they will consider as the unique ID as the row ID. There is a function in the SQL server, row ID, that is uniquely identified. So using uh, that function you can create a primary key. So for example, we have an employee table and the department table. Now consider there are like employees, employee Maisha K and JW and Nidhi D. These are the employee. You can see this Maisha K, this employee is having uh, Maisha K is an employee whose whose date of birth, then Aadhaar card and the city is same. Okay, these two records you can see. Aadhaar card is different, but the other information in the name or date of birth or the city, these are the same. Now, in case if I consider the Aadhaar card as the primary key, then what will happen? This Nidhi D does not have Aadhaar card. So the concept of the primary keys, it will not allow you to just give me 1 minute. So, where we were? Yeah. So Maisha K is a person or an employee. Her both of the employee. These are the two different person, but there are other apart from the Aadhaar card, other details are same. So we can consider Aadhaar card as. Can we consider Aadhaar card as a primary key? Yes, we can consider. But the problem is that Nidhi does not have the Aadhaar card, so we cannot consider as the Aadhaar card as the primary key. So this Aadhaar card can be an unique key. We can consider, but again, if there is an one more employee, like say Kundan, and his date of birth is something, but again, if he doesn't have the Aadhaar card, then like unique key constraint will fail. Okay, so in that case, we cannot put Aadhaar card as a unique constraint, or we cannot declare Aadhaar card as a unique key, but so to how can we then declare a how can we create a primary key? Then what a designer will do, they will create an anonymous or one more column which does not have any meaning, but it does not have any business meaning. Okay, this employee ID does not have any business meaning, but the other fields have the business meaning. So what they will do, they will create an employee ID in a such a way that this employee ID will auto generate. Okay, so one by one, whenever you insert a record, there is no need to a person or a user to insert the employee ID details. It will automatically get generated and then it will assign to that user. the same, this case will be same in case of the department id. So department name is like, again here I have mentioned the department name, but you cannot here, yes, you can keep the department name as a primary key, but it is always advisable that whenever you declare a primary key, declare as a integer. If it is not, if that is the not case, then you can declare the other data type. So why integer? Most of the time you will find in the production environment, or any whenever you start working in the organization, then you will, most of the time you will find integer as a primary key. Reason being is that integer requires less space to store that data, whereas in case of the uh, string data, it requires more space. So to save the space and to get the data faster performance, to gain the faster performance, most of the time you will find data of sorry, primary key as a integer data type. So here in our case, we will declare primary key as a employee ID, and then department ID. So see, I have marked these two as a primary key. So these are what is primary key? Primary key can be uniquely identify each record in the table. So it should identify each record in the table uniquely, meaning that it should not contain duplicate records. Primary key must contain unique values, that is no duplicate values. So there should not be any duplicate values. Then it should not contain null values. So there is a difference between unique key and primary key. The only difference is that primary key does not allow null, whereas unique key allows single null record. So most of the time interviewer will ask you what is the difference between primary key and the unique key. This is the only difference. Okay. Apart from there is one more difference. Sorry. Then what is one more feature of the primary keys? A table can have only one primary key, but if you check, a table may have multiple unique keys. Okay, for example, I have an Aadhaar card information, I can declare unique key. For example, I have a PAN card, I can declare a PAN card as a unique key, right? So these are the examples. So in case of the primary key, a table has only one primary key. In future video, I will explain why there is only one primary key. Even I can like specify why it is, because whenever you store an primary key, whenever you create a primary key, what it will do, it will uh, store the data physically, meaning that whenever you declare a primary key, it will create a cluster index and it will store data in particular order. Okay, so if we reverse the order, if you declared one more primary key on that table, then it, and if you reverse the order, then the storage order, I will give one example. If you have stored like number like 1 2 3 in this physical order, and if you change the order, like if you created one more primary key in this order, then how, like there will be no relation. Okay, so to avoid this one, to get the performance from the primary key, most of the time what they will do, they will create, there will be only one primary key. Okay, so primary key basically orders the data logically. And okay, primary key can be created on single or multiple columns. Like for example, I can create a primary key, a combination of Aadhaar card and the PAN card, or suppose I can create a primary key, uh, Aadhaar card and the mobile number. Reason, see, I will explain you. If in my family I have only one mobile number, okay, and now I have the Aadhaar card. Suppose I want to if I created a primary key on mobile number, then what will happen? It will be duplicate. So to avoid that, sometimes sometimes it is in table, you will find that primary key can be created on multiple tables. Okay, and if primary key or any another key is created on the multiple table, then it is called as a composite. Composite means mixture of more than one fields. So you can add up to 16 fields in a primary key. So, but again, it is advisable to create primary key on a single column. And if it is not that much sufficient, then you can create a a composite key of a primary key. So this is the syntax. Whenever you create a table, you can you can specify primary key as a keyword to create a primary key. So this is the syntax: create table, table name, then column name, data type, and primary key, then again column name. So this is the one. Other is like here you can specify the column name, then at last you can specify primary key and then column name. So I will create one table. So I will create a table and I will show you how can we create a primary key. So what we will do, we will create a table for this employees. I want the table names. Now what is the syntax? See, I'm creating the table in this master database, but I don't want to create into the master database. I want to switch to SQL tutorial database. Okay, so I can. To switch the database from one database to another database in SSMS, you have to use a keyword use and then select this one and execute. So now you can see earlier it was master and now it is in SQL tutorial. So here I will create a table. So syntax is create table, then table name is employee, employees. Now EMP ID I can like I can there is no need there is no any restriction. You can use small letters or capital letters, but it is advisable to use a uh, camel case letter. So for example EMP underscore ID INT and not null. So primary key cannot be null. Then here I am specifying primary key as a keyword. So then my next name column name is name. I will specify varchar because I don't know, like each employee may not have the same number of characters in their name. Then DOB, so date of birth, I will specify date as data type. Aadhaar card, so I know Aadhaar card in India is Aadhaar card is of 12 digits, so I will specify INT. Even I can specify as a 12 char 12. So I am sure that it will have only 12 characters. Okay. So again, it is advisable to whenever it is possible to store data in integer, and you are if you are sure, then go for the integer. Aadhaar card integer, then city. So city can store varchar variable varchar. And I will specify length as 10. I will execute. You can see I have created the table under this SQL tutorial database. I will check here. Will expand this one and you can see employees created. Now how can you see check that whether the primary key is there on the table or not? You can expand keys and then CPK employees, and this is the SQL defined name. So this is my primary key, and even the alternative is that you can see the key symbol. Okay, I will try to maximize it, but I can't. So here is a small symbol of the key. So this is the symbol of a key and meaning that it is a primary key. I just request you just try to create a table with department name and then specify column name as department ID and department name, and then specify department ID as a primary key. I'll be back. Meanwhile, I request all of you just write down the syntax and share with me. I hope uh, you are writing the query for to create the database table name called the department and specify the department and is the primary key. It is very simple. I am expecting answers from you guys. Okay. Uh, I will create it myself now. Uh, Create table department. We will create this one later, no problem. What we will do, we will first we will insert data into this table, insert into, then employees. So the syntax, I'm inserting data into all the fields. So I will insert into employees, then values one, then name is Maisha, then her date of birth was January 1998 01 15 Jan. Then her Aadhaar card was, I can put any random number here. Uh, okay. Then the city, she is from Pune. Okay. I'll put Pune as a city and I will insert the record. Mm, not null. That Aadhaar card 10 digit. Okay. Date of birth is okay. Aadhaar card is okay. What is the syntax? Conversion when varchar Maisha to data type integer. But there are not null. The second column is name varchar only. Insert into it integer. So integer is the data type. Second column is primary name. And then we are inserting name. Then third, okay. Third is date of birth. Okay, I'm transferring data into date of birth. Then fourth is integer again. Fourth, this number is integer. But conversion will not convert varchar value Maisha to data type integer. Why it's not coming? Why this error is coming? Insert employee values. Specify this one. Let me see. We'll specify the column name so that the second so name, the date of birth. So these values, one will go into the IMP ID, data type is integer, so one is integer, second is name is varchar, then date of birth, so it's again we can specify into the string. Aadhaar card, let me check, I think can specify less number, Aadhaar card and city Pune, we'll try to insert it. Invalid, okay, insert into employees, then list of the columns, values. Oh, it's my mistake because I typed employee and the table name is employees. Okay, that's the main reason we were getting error. So I can remove this part now. It is good practice to specify the column names, but uh, like I'm inserting the values into all the fields, so I can remove this, but now I can kept or like I can try with the both options. So what was the error? The error was the column name, so table name. So I will again try to insert, and what was the error I will show you. Conversion failed in converting value to data. Ideally, the error should be there is no table exists. Oh, there is a table. Okay, employee. That's the reason. If I don't have this table, then I will get an error. So the column names may be different. See, name and ID, and the sequence of the column names is different. Here the name is at the one name at first place. So it was trying to insert data into the employee field and not into the employees. So what I will do, I will drop this table. Now what I will do, I will execute and I will get an error that invalid object name employee, because employee object is not there, employee table is not there. I will specify correct name, and what I will do, I will try to insert the same record, because cannot insert a duplicate values. As I mentioned that we cannot insert duplicate values into primary key field. So even it is clearly stating that what is the value of the duplicate. So one is the duplicate. Now what I will do, I will try to insert null values. Null. Instead of the one, I will pass null and I will try to insert it. See, again, cannot insert the values null into the column EMP because column does not allow nulls. Okay, so primary key does not allow null values. Now what I will do, I will like insert, just I will not change anything, and I am able to successfully insert the second record. So it is totally depend upon your first record. Now I will insert the third, then name is J W, okay, and we can specify any date of birth. It doesn't matter at all. Mumbai, Mumbai. We'll now see we can able to successfully insert the records. So to identify this particular record or to get that record uniquely, how can we can identify using this EMP ID. See, now if tomorrow if someone told you that hey, I want the employee whose employee address is like I want the all employees, okay, so how can you identify, like I mean in companies or in even colleges, right? To identify unique to identify the students, you may have provided the student ID as uniquely, right? In companies, they will provide employee ID as unique. So no two employees may have a same not I mean two employees may not have a same employee ID. So they can easily identify using this employee ID. So this is my unique field. And now so like creating primary key on multiple columns. To create a primary key, like the syntax is same. Here you just have to specify the primary key and then like column names. Suppose now what I want to do, I want to add a primary key, create table department, then depth underscore ID is my integer field, and name as depth underscore name as varchar is my department name. Now I want to create a primary key based on these two field. Okay, now what I will do, pr primary key, I can specify the column names here. This is called the composite meaning that you are creating keys on multiple columns and try to align the things. Okay, do a proper indentation so that like if anything went wrong, you will get an clearly error. So I have created primary key on two fields. Now I will refresh just this table. I will show you department. Okay, now column C, there are no two primary keys, there is one primary key but is based on the two columns. And as I mentioned, whenever you create a primary key, their cluster index by default will be created. So by default, this cluster index is, this is the cluster index. So if I create an uh, I will show you the syntax. See, alter table add primary key clustered. So this is an index. Okay. Whenever you create a primary key, by default a cluster index will be created. Whenever you define a non-cluster unique key, by default a non-cluster key will be created. I will explain what is cluster index and what is non-cluster index in further videos or further sessions. Now suppose you want to add a column, primary key column on existing table, then this is the syntax. So to alter the definition of table, this is the syntax: alter table, table name, then add constraint pk. This is the constraint name. You can specify. See here, you are getting the name like this, right? So the pk department, and then few garbage values. So to avoid these garbage values, you can specify user defined names here. Then to drop a primary key constraint, you can use this syntax. So I will show you now. Like I have created the primary key on department ID and department name. And what if I will try to insert into department, then values 1 comma HR. This is my department. Now what I will do, I will keep 1 as it is, and I will insert IT here. So will it allow me? Yes, it will allow me. It will check the combination of both. Earlier, when we created a department table, sorry, employee table, it was just checking the combination of. It was not just checking the combination. It was checking only for the employee ID. I will show you. If you remember the syntax, if you remember the syntax, else what I will do, I will try to insert one more record here itself, and I will show you. Values, you can specify the name of the columns in square bracket also. There is no need, and I will try to insert, like I will change each and everything, but what I will do, I will keep, like, see, uh, employee ID 1 is already there. What I will do, I will change each and everything, every field here, okay, but I will keep only employee ID as a duplicate. What will happen, let's see. Then name I can specify mm, Kundan, then date of birth, name, date of birth as, you can specify anything. I mean, it should be a proper date, nothing else. Then Aadhaar card is this keyword, and city as Pune. I'll try to insert. See, I'm getting an error. So here, like employee ID, only employee ID is my primary key. Okay, the primary key is based on the employee ID. Hence, I am unable to insert the record, though the other values are different. Okay, but here in case it will check, like you can see, I already have a department ID 1, 2 times 1. Okay, now even what it will check, it will check the combination uniquely, whether the combination is unique or not. Now what I will do, I will try to insert again this the same value, then it will throw an error. So violation of the primary key constraint. Now I will change IT to CSE. I will try to insert the record. See, it is getting inserted. So here the combination is not duplicate. The combination is unique. So hence you are able to insert the record into the table. And I will drop this primary key constraint. The syntax is alter table, table name, and drop constraint. So what can we do? Alter table. My table name is department. Then drop constr constraint name. What is the constraint name? From where I can get it? Under there is a folder called the constraint. From there I can get it. Let me refresh it. What is not there? Oh, it's not there. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, from here you can drop it. So there is learning from me also. Whenever we create a constraint on multiple columns, then it will not create a constraint under constraint field. It will create a index under this here only. Okay, this is the syntax. Now what is foreign key? So you may remember that like we call foreigner to those who came in our country or those are not from our country. The same thing here applies. The data which is coming from the other table is called as a the field which is coming from the other table is called as a foreign key. So here in case of the employee, we are importing this department ID field from the department table. Here in case, in this example, this department is my primary table and this is my secondary table. So you can also specify, you can also mention that, or you can also mention that this department is a parent table and this is a child table because these parent values we are importing from the parent to child table. So the foreign key constant is very simple. A foreign key is a field or a collection of fields in one table that refers to primary key in another table. So here this department ID is we are importing from this department table. So this is called a foreign key. This is a primary key of this department table and this is foreign key of this table. So it is very important. It is also called as the referencing key and like most of the time to maintain the data integrity. It is very important to maintain the data integrity of a database. Keys are very important. This foreign key is important. For example, there is no department called loan or department called the IT. How can you assign a value to a particular employee that the department is not exist and you can how can you assign an employee that department? For example, this three or this two department is not a part of the department and uh, this two ID is not part of the department table, then how can you specify this MySQL key is working for the department too? So it is not possible. Okay. So to insert data into the child table, that department ID or whatever primary foreign key should be exist. That that field the value should be exist. Suppose I want to insert one more record 5 and then Ramesh and her date like his date of birth and the Aadhaar card blah blah and then department ID 6. The 6 ID is not in the department so I cannot insert that 6 value here. Vice versa, whenever you want to delete a record from the parent table, it should be first and if it is referred in the child table, it should be firstly deleted from the child and then it should be deleted from the parent. For example, if I want to delete this Nidhi record, sorry, if I want to delete this to accountant record, then what I want to do, I want to first remove these two records, or what I want to do, I want to it is mandatory to update this record department ID to somewhere some another number or null, then only you can delete that record. Okay, otherwise you can't delete or update the records. Even you cannot update it here. Yeah, you can update the department ID, but that department ID should be again part of this department ID table. And if it is not, then you cannot update it. So this is the foreign key concept. Then like to create a foreign key, it is very simple. So you may have multiple foreign keys on a single table, or you may have a table where, for example, this is the employee table and you have a primary key on the employee ID, and you like there is one more field called the manager ID. I mean, a manager is also employee. Okay, so in that case, in a single table, you may have a foreign key and a primary key. So more than one primary key can be added into a single table. Can contain duplicate values? Yes. Foreign key can duplicate contain duplicate values? Yes, it can contain. See here, JW does not have any department ID. Then it also allows null values. JW does not have any department assigned to him. So this record may contain the null value as a missing value. But you can see this Maisha K, the employee ID is 2 and employee ID for Nidhi D, both both have the same department. It is possible, right? Maisha K and the Nidhi D both can work for the department ID called accountant. So duplication in foreign key is possible. Other thing is null records can be possible. More than one foreign key can be added. For example, there is one more table called employee department and for reimbursement table. Okay, where they we can claim the bills and all. So if there is one more table, that table's primary key can be part of, or this table's primary key can be part of that table's foreign key. So this is the syntax. What we will do, we will create these two tables. Let me go back. So we have this table already. Okay, we will create department. Let me check whether we do have a department or not. We do have a department table, and let me check. So here we don't have any key. So how can we add? I will show you that syntax. So if the table is already exist now, department, you can see there is no key exist. Okay, if table is already there, and if you want to add a primary key, then how can we add? Alter table, table name, add constraint. This is the, instead of the drop, just add keyword add. Then department, you can specify the constraint name, pk department. It is coming from the department. Then dept id is my depth ID is my field name, then primary key and column name. So primary key is a keyword, and I want to define depth ID as a primary key. So I will execute this one. Depth ID does not exist. So make sure the column names are, you have written like you wrote properly index, because duplicate index was found. Let me check. Uh, Create index terminated because mm, let me refresh it. I think it's already there. No constraint. Why is throwing an error? Create unique custom statement terminated because duplicate key was found. Oh, okay. Why it is not allowing me? Because my table contain duplicate values. See, this 1, 2, 3. Department ID 1 is 3 times. So it is not allowed me to create a department primary key on this tab this already existed department ID because this is a duplicate. Okay. So like if the data is duplicate in the table in the field and if you try to create a uh, primary key on that, it will not allow. So what I will do, I will not create I will create a composite key because it is not duplicate. Okay, if you check, see one CSC, there is no one CSC or one IT and HR, one more record. So what I will do, I will create, now it will allow me. Okay, so okay, you can see there is no duplicate. Okay, so it will check based on these two values. Now what I will do, I will delete this employee table and I will create again this employee table. Or okay, I will show you one more concept here. Now this employee table is already there. Now what I want, I want the definition, to check the definition. How can I check the definition? Just right click and then go to script table as and create to new query editor window. So I will get an table syntax. So you can, like I'm avoiding rewriting the script. So create table name, then the column names. Now here what I will specify, this is my primary key. Okay, here primary key. Now I want to refer this department table ID in this table. I want to create a foreign key. So what is the syntax? The syntax is, I will see, depth ID, then int foreign key. So I want that department ID to be part of my employees table. Then foreign key. This is the keyword. Then references. References department. Which column which table I'm getting a reference from this DBO department. Okay, there is no need to specify the DBO and all department. Then the field from that other table. So this is the field. And now I will execute this one. Let me see. Oh, the table is already there. Okay, I have to delete it. This table. Duplicate key. Oh, again, like this is the composite key. So what I have to define, department ID also. More than one key space in the column level foreign key table employees. More than one key specified. What I will do, I will delete this one, depth name worker 100. Why it is not allowing me? I think I will remove this primary key from this table. I will keep only on the depth ID. Truncate table department, then filter table. We'll add constraint pk. I will specify the name, depth id, then primary key, depth underscore id. What is the syntax? Let me check the syntax of primary key. Yeah, I missed the primary key keyword. Primary key, then specify the column name. Now come here, remove this part and remove this one part also. It will work. See. So I am referring this department ID from where? From this table. So this is called as a foreign key. This is primary key of this table. So this is the syntax. Now you can see select star from employees. So I don't have any data. Now department name is there. So foreign key, this is completed. So this is the syntax. This is the primary table. This is the secondary table, or this is the parent, and this is the child. So this is the syntax basically to create a primary key. And now if you want to add a constraint, like as I mentioned, you can, like, more than one foreign key can be added into a single table. So to add that, what I will do, alter table, add, I will add one more field here. First alter table employees, add mgr underscore id is my employee manager id int. Okay, I have added one more field into, or column into this manager table. Sorry, into employees table, one more column manager. See, this is my foreign key. Like foreign key, uh, the symbol is like this, and primary key like this. Now what I will do, I will add one more foreign key in the same table. I will explain. I will try to avoid the writing. Alter table name. This is the syntax. Add constraint name, then foreign key mgr id references to whom, same table, and to which field, employee id. So this manager id is again like is an employee, right? Like for example, I have a employee id 1 and employee id 1 and 2. I will explain here. There is an employee id, emp id, and a mgr id and name. So this is the one. Maybe this is JW, and he doesn't have any manager ID because he is CEO of the company. Now there is one more ID, employee Maisha. Her manager ID is 1. So in this case, this JW is manager of whom? This Maisha. So this is the primary key, and this is like this same primary key is referred as a foreign key in the same table. So I am doing the same thing here. mgr id, maybe mgr underscore id. This is the field. Be careful while try. empid again. In my case, the column names are different. So I was getting that error. Now see, I will refresh. See, there is no like key symbol here. What I will do, I will refresh and I will can you can see the there are like multiple foreign keys are possible. But if you try to add one more primary key into this table, you will not. Like I will try through the designer and you will get an error. See this one and then set primary key. Right click and set primary key. See, primary key or unique key constant cannot be changed until if it is existing relationships are deleted. You want to delete the relationship. If you delete the relationship, like it will allow me. But if it is already there, then it will not allow me. So if I click on yes, then it will delete the relationship. Okay. So I won't do that. Or what I will do, I will come here and I will show on this table because it doesn't have any relationship design. And I will try to add set primary key again. Okay, it is asking me the same thing. Mm, I have person table. Let me because that these two tables are part of the relationship, right? Primary key and foreign key. There is a relationship. So I will ID as a primary key. So it is allowed me. Now what I will do, I will add again. So no, I will save this one. It will not allow me to save. See, it is not allowing unable to create or duplicate records are there. Maybe mobile number. Let me check on the mobile number. No null value is there. Null value is there again. Let me check first the data, what kind of data it is there. So yeah, it is possible on this table. I can show you. There, it is not possible to create a primary key on multiple columns. So I have created primary key on the ID column. Now what I will do, I will try to create a primary key on this table. So see, it is coming from here to here. It is not allowing me to do that. We'll set here and we'll close the session. And again, I will go to the design. I'll try to alter it. See, it's coming here. It is not allowing me to do that. So in like primary key cannot be part of like more than one primary key. We cannot add more than one primary key on a table. Okay, so this session I will cover like as I mentioned, uh, see, if I want to delete this IT department, then it will not. If I want to delete this accountant department, that it will not allow me because there is a reference for this department to in the my child table. Okay, so how can we achieve it? I will cover in the tomorrow's session. It is called the concept is called uh, cascading delete. Okay, I will cover that. It is too lengthy session, so we'll cover the same thing tomorrow. Thank you for watching.